So hi, welcome to the Good Noise Podcast. We're here with Jake from Sleep On It. We're going to ask him some questions today. I'm going to start. What inspired you to start the band?
When did the band start? So
Mhm.
the idea of it started in 2012, but I don't think we really got off the ground until 2013. Um, I started the band in 2013, and I met Luca, our current drummer, in late 2012 through a mutual friend. And I had met TJ, our current other guitarist, at Riot Fest 2012 earlier that year, September. And we had just talked about music. We hadn't talked about jamming or anything. But then once I got Luca on drums, that's when I was like, oh, I can actually have a band now. Because without a drummer, you're not really a band. So
Yeah.
we had some different lineup things. Like obviously we had a different lead singer for the first few years we were in a band. Zach didn't join until 2016. And so we had our old lead singer, his name was John. He was my best friend at the time. But I met Luca and then TJ. And then in early 2013, about March, is when we solidified like our first full official lineup and started playing shows and recording demos and stuff like that. So 2013 is kind of when it all started. Obviously, the band kind of had like a relaunch in 2015, 2016 when Zach joined the band, new singer. That's when like we got signed and stuff like that. But the band officially started as Sleep On It, as with a full lineup, recording new like original material in 2013.
Okay.
Wow.
And what does the band name mean? While we're on the topic of...
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's really simple. Like there's nothing fancy or super sentimental about it. So I went to school for arts, entertainment, media management at Columbia College Chicago, and I knew how important a band name was. And in fact, my earlier bands in my music career, people always told me how bad our band name was. So when I was like, I'm starting a new project, the band name's got to be good. So I had like a list of like 40 different names. And, the guy, it was about when we were, getting the band really off the ground, the full lineup and solidified. But like, we don't have a name. Like we need a name if we're going to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And the guys were pressuring me. Like we need to come up with something if we're going to, we had booked studio time. We hadn't done it yet. We need a name if we're going to be a band. So I had this big list. And I wrote as a note to myself to sleep on it. I'm not kidding. It's that simple. Like It's literally, that's what I did. It was like a note to myself to like look at these names, think about it, sleep on it. And then I looked the next day on my notepad and I looked at the note to myself and I was like, that's a better band name than any of the names I had written down.
Yeah.
I then went to Google and cross-referenced it. And I didn't get any results. No one had it yet. And I was like, this is great. Like, this is a great name. Like, I should, like, let's just run with this. And I brought it to practice. And the guys were like, yeah, that's awesome. And then that's the rest is history, I suppose.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really simple. It's not too super exciting, but it is kind of quirky in the fact that I didn't actually ever intend it to be the band name. It's more of a note to self.
Mm-hmm. So it was just kind of like a spur of the moment thing. You're like, this fits.
It was literally something I wrote down to myself right before bed, and then I woke up the next day and I was like, that's cool.
All right.
Happy accident, I suppose.
Yeah.
Do you remember any of the other names? I know it was like a long time ago, but do you remember any of the other names that were on the list for band names?
Yeah, so funny enough, I had Against the Current written down.
Oh.
Before Against the Current was a band, because they weren't a band in 2013.
Yeah.
But I had it written down. It was on the list. If I booted up one of my old phones, which I still have, I think I could find the full list, which maybe I'll do just for fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I knew Against the Current was on there because later I saw that the project got launched, and I was like, oh my god, I had that written down like on the list. And I also had Overcast as a name, which I still actually really like, and we almost nearly picked it, but I thought Sleep On It was a better name. And in retrospect, I think it still is. But Overcast always sounded like a really cool band name. But I definitely got that from Fall Out Boy, like the Overcast Kids, like their fan club. And I didn't want people to think like, I don't know, that we were like a Fall Out Boy cover band or something like that.
Yes.
So that's sort of what steered me against that name, though I still think that name's really cool. And I've thought about starting a side project called Overcast before, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, I knew Against the Current, Overcast were both on the list. There was probably some just garbage, awful names on there too, because I was just writing it down when I was riding the train, like anything that popped in my head, I just write down names.
Yeah.
Some of them were terrible.
Mhm.
Sounded like dead scene bands from 2009. Like it wasn't.
Oh. Great. I'm glad you settled on Sleep on It, because like
Yeah, me too.
that's
Yeah,
it's
and
such a
that's some,
sick
like,
name.
Not some
Yeah,
edgy,
I'm also glad I settled on Sleep on It.
Yeah.
not some like edgy 2006 esque
Oh, yeah.
name.
Yeah.
Really glad that's not the case.
Yeah.
So, what is your writing process like?
It varies. So a lot of people ask us about that. Some songs we write all together. Like we're in well, we have a practice space now, but for a while we practiced in my basement. And we would just, start practicing. And, if someone had a riff or a part or even like a vocal or something, we would, sort of be like, if we really liked it, we'd just start sort of building it block by block. If all we had was one chord progression, we'd see if that was like a verse, a chorus, or a bridge, and then sort of build off of that part. That's sort of how the song "See You Around" started. I was kind of noodling with the main like intro guitar part, and TJ liked it, and then we just started building the song from like the ground up. Basically, it just like started with that one part, and then it became a whole song. Other times, it's the complete opposite. Sometimes TJ, Zach, or I will write a song, or a swath of a song, and then bring it to practice, and we'll play through it as they did it on a demo or as they wrote it like just by themselves, and then we'll sort of like fill in the gaps. It's it's very rare that anyone comes to practice with a full song.
Okay.
Songwriting is challenging. It's not easy to write a full electric song by yourself.
Yeah.
So a lot of times it's like a partial song, or I did this just to get the idea down.
Mhm.
Nothing super crazy. So, but some songs are already sort of fleshed out, sort of like our one of our newer songs, Babe Ruth, from our new album. TJ had that song pretty much already there, and then he brought it to practice, and we just sort of polished it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like we add, obviously things were vocals and all sorts of leads and stuff like that, but like the structure of the song was already done when we got it, which is cool. That sometimes makes it easier, but it also isn't as fun sometimes. Collaborating is really the fun in writing and creating music. But if it's a good song, it's a good song. We were like, oh my God, this song's already great. Like we already like it. So sometimes it's not about, complete and utter collaboration if you think the music is great, like on its own merit. So it can vary greatly. And then there's some songs that we've done co-writes with. We wrote some songs with Mike Green, who works with like All Time Low and A Day to Remember, Pierce the Veil. And then we've written some songs. We wrote a song with Will from Cartel, and we've dabbled in some other songwriting where we're not even using. We'll bring in one idea, and then they help us flesh that idea out.
Yeah.
And our producers too, Kyle Black, who worked on our last record, Seth Henderson on the records before that. They also have a lot of songwriting input. We had our EP and our first record produced and somewhat co-written by Derek Descanio from State Champs. So he also helped us write and structure some songs on some of our older material. So it entirely depends on the song and the situation. Sometimes you think you have the entire song the way you want it, and then you get in the studio to record it, and it becomes something completely different.
Yeah.
There's a lot of variables.
That makes sense.
All right.
Plenty of sense.
So how do you feel about the reception to your newest single, "Stay at Home"?
Cool. Yeah. So the funny thing about the song is it's a joke. It's not really like it's not. We never meant it to be a serious song, right? Yeah. It has joke lyrics. If you look at the lyrics of the song, they're not serious, but it was done for fun. So Sleep on It we share a practice, like we have a practice space at this place in Chicago. It's a big practice space facility. And there's studios in that same facility. So bands practice there, but there's also studios there. So we had a close friend of ours, Mark McCluskey, who mixed Pride and Disaster. He has a studio there. And he was like, all my projects for the last 3 months canceled because of coronavirus. Do you guys want to come in and do a joke song? And we're like, well, we don't really have anything to lose. Like there's nothing like he cut us like a good deal, and it was, obviously it's a short song. It didn't take very long. It's also a simple song. It didn't take a lot of time to make.
Yeah.
So considering that we didn't do it as like a serious thing, just sort of like fun to do it. We also had fun with our music video. Like we did a very silly, lighthearted music video at the same time. I think it's great. I think people enjoy it for what it is, and it's not meant to be some sort of mind-blowing, concept song or anything like that. It's just for fun. Sometimes music doesn't have to be serious.
Yeah.
I think people really liked it. They responded well to it when we posted it. Obviously, it's not going to be our most streamed song of all time or anything like that, but it's a fun little addition to our discography.
It definitely is.
Yeah. So where was your headspace at then? Just like writing a joke song, having fun?
Yeah, I mean, so it was at the suggestion of Mark McCluskey. Mark McCluskey was like, while we're here, like you guys should just do a quarantine song. Like no one's really doing that, or like, at the time when he suggested, I don't think that many bands had done it. And he was like, you guys should do it. You have literally nothing to lose by doing it.
Yeah.
So just do it. And we were like, okay. It was just like, sure, like fine. So TJ wrote a good amount of that song, and just sort of fleshed it out real quick. I think it was recorded in like a day.
Wow.
Yeah, just one day. And people liked it, so it's cool. We didn't overthink it. Is what I'm saying. It was just sort of like, just have fun with it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fair. So what is it like putting out a song in quarantine, like with the whole current world situation?
It's weird. Like you don't know. So streaming numbers are down across the board because people aren't commuting and traveling like they were pre-corona. So all our monthly listeners have dipped, but I think most artists have. And I think, it's weird because people don't have a concept of time, or at least people that aren't working don't. I certainly don't. I don't know what day Friday is anymore. What day is it today? It's Monday, I think, right?
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah,
Tuesday.
I think so.
Wait, it's Monday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Monday.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
It is. Yeah. See, exactly. None of us know what day it is. So New Music Friday is like kind of weird because it's like you're not even, usually like when I'm working and living life normally, like New Music Friday is like a thing. I'll make sure I check my Spotify playlist, see whatever songs come out. But like people just kind of are skimming over it because they're not commuting. The most common times people listen to music are obviously at shows, and then when they're commuting is music time for most people. So it's like if people aren't going to work, they're not going to be listening to music as much. So it's like it definitely like shows in how many streams and like playlisting. And I think a lot of the world, the music industry has been put on a sort of a half pause button. So it's like getting people to even the coverage on the song coming out was kind of low for, but that's been across the board. I haven't seen a whole lot of music news unless it's really, really big artists or pertaining to venues opening or Corona or stuff like that. So it kind of got, swept under the rug, but that's to be expected to a degree. Because I think people just aren't paying as much attention. They don't have the normalness of their lives to keep them sort of on track with new music coming out.
Yeah,
The whole numbers thing shocks me though, because like I know at least between the three of us, we've been listening to more music since we were able to be inside, just because there's nothing else to do. Yeah,
I think that's awesome, and I love that. And I am certainly not part of the swath of humanity that's listening to less music. But I think we're talking about your average Joe. I think music is a placeholder for a lot of people. They're not necessarily like actively listening to music all the time, but they listen to music when they travel to and from work, in the car, or on the train. And then maybe a little bit at night, but like, or when they cook or something. But like, other than that, I think people are replacing music with screen time. You know, I think people are watching more stuff than listening.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
So I think that's why music streaming numbers are down overall. But, you know, there's always, you know, outliers and stuff like that, like
Yeah.
you guys. People that truly love music probably are listening to it more because they have more time.
Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
true of me, for sure.
All right, makes sense.
So so how do you feel about the response to your album Pride and Disaster?
We're very grateful to it. I think our fans welcomed it with open arms and like really took it in, and like, I mean, critical reception was great. All the reviews we got from major publications were extremely positive. And I'm just so grateful that people love it as much as we do. It sold really well. I think we peaked at number 9 on the Heat Seekers chart.
Damn.
Which,
Wow.
if you even get in the top 10 is pretty sweet for a small band like us. You know, we're doing all right, but we're by no means a big band. So it was pretty inspiring to see, you know, some quality Billboard charting. And, you know, I think it's really positive for the future. It also, when we did just actually get to do half of our first headlining tour before Corona. Like, we were in the middle of tour when Corona shut everything down,
Mhm.
and it was our first headliner. And kids knew those songs to Pride and Disaster songs as well, if not better, than the older songs
Damn.
that people have known for years. So we saw really big sing-alongs on these brand new songs, you know, less than 6 months old or whatever, you know.
Mhm.
So it's been really great to have your new artistic output so well received. You know, I think that's all you can ask for as a musician, is that people appreciate your new music as much as they appreciate your old music.
Yeah.
No musician wants to be the band that's like, I only like the first album. You know, you don't want to be that. Like,
Mhm.
that's not. You want to keep getting better. You want to strive to write the best songs you can as a band. You don't want your old work to overshadow anything new.
Yeah.
So it's really great that people like Pride and Disaster as much.
So how do you feel about the growth from LP1 to LP2?
I like it. I think so. We've done lots of interviews about the record, and so some of, if forgive me if you know this or we've touched on it before. I'm trying not to be super redundant, but we had a hard time doing Pride and Disaster. It was rushed. It was stressful.
Mhm.
We recorded the record in LA, and we're from Chicago, and we had, up until this record, we had done all of our songs at least in Chicago or around the city's area. So we were completely isolated from all of our friends, and it was supposed to be isolated from distraction, but it was more than that. It ended up being like sort of a double-edged sword. It was like, okay, we're isolated from distraction, but we also felt marooned to a degree. Like, we didn't have any support system, and when things got stressful, we only had each other, and we were already spending every single moment of every day with each other in a studio for 10 hours a day. So it was hard. Like, I am grateful the record sounds as good as it does and turned out as well, because I think we were pushed to the brink in that time. We had a lot of like really difficult conversations. We had just gotten off a full U.S. tour with Broadside and with Confidence that went extremely well. But we literally got off tour. It was Christmas time, and then we flew to LA. It was like we had no break in between the tour, Christmas, and then recording the album. And we had been busy before that too. We did Warped, last year, 2018.
Mm-hmm.
And then, we played some other shows in the middle of that, and then did the tour. So we didn't have a ton of time to even write the record. The record kind of snuck up on us in the form of, like, we were so preoccupied with Warped Tour, and then Warped Tour was such a huge undertaking in itself and pushed us to our limits again. We didn't end up writing as much as we wanted to. At least writing the way we like to writing all in the same room.
Yeah.
And collaborating. So it ended up falling a lot on TJ, and TJ ended up writing a pretty significant chunk of the demos and doing a lot of that himself, and it stressed him out, and he went into the process already sort of wearing thin, and we just wanted to help him, but we were so busy with everything else that was going on that, you know, we were just really stressed out. So I think that it was a very different process than the previous record. Because Overexposed, we had time, and we had we did it the way we wanted to. We did pre-production a week before we even started recording, and we got to jam the songs in the studio and have our producers sort of like give us advice on what to do. We didn't really get to do that with this record, which is something we all regret. And we've talked about for our next record, whenever that happens, that we're going to make sure we do the pre-production and the writing like we did Overexposed, because while we love Pride and Disaster, and I'm so grateful how all the songs turned out, I think it was written the backwards way of how we wanted to do it. But for that, we're still grateful that it sounds great and that people love the songs, because I think it's still at its core, obviously, a great Sleep On It record. I think we don't want to replicate the same level of stress on any individual member or even the group as a whole, because I think while it turned out all right, it almost broke up our band, like making the record. Like it was that difficult. You know, and obviously this is on record too, people know about this, but we kicked out our old bass player like right after the record finished. Yeah, AJ Cobb, who's now in Makeout. We parted ways with him like right after the record, and the record was part of that. That was part of the stress, and it had to happen. Like it was collateral damage from the making of the record. So it was a stressful time. Like it almost broke our band, but we got through it, and I think we had the best 2019 we could have possibly had. We went on killer tours, and you know, we did This Wildlife, we did Like Pacific, and then Don Broco. And then, we went into 2020 with our first headliner. So it was like, despite all of that turmoil that we went into recording Prime Disaster, I think we came out on the other side of it a better band and a stronger band.
I'm glad you guys got out of it in one piece.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I don't know if that was like what exactly you were asking. I don't know if you were asking that from like a songwriting perspective or just like I kind of touched on it. I touched on everything, but I don't know.
Better answer than I was expecting, honestly.
Yeah,
I was expecting like a quick it's been great, and then next question. So
I'm obscenely verbose when it comes to this stuff. Yeah. This is my whole life, so I talk. If I ever talk too much, just let me know.
Never too much. Never too much.
So when you're not making music, who do you listen to? Like, what bands or artists do you usually listen to?
So I do truly listen to everything. I do listen to a lot of pop punk because it's my whole like core of what I grew up listening to, and it's what influenced me to make the music I do. But I love pop and rap and even some country from time to time. And I dabble all over the board. But there are definitely like, I would still say that pop punk and emo and all alternative music probably takes up the biggest swath of it. You know, some of my favorite bands are like Fall Out Boy and Yellow Card, Cartel, Mayday Parade. Like a lot of the stuff that you hear the influence in Sleep On It's music, to be really honest.
I saw the Fall Out Boy flag, and I really wanted to comment on it because it's just, I really appreciate it.
I appreciate it too.
I have a flag in the back. I mean, a poster in the background. So
nice.
Wait, what's your favorite album?
Folie à Deux is my favorite.
Correct.
Ooh, taste. Good.
Correct.
Good
I wrote a whole article on Folie à Deux for Rock Sound that you can read if you so choose to.
Really? That is so cool.
Yeah. It's my favorite probably one of my favorite records of all time, and absolutely the most underrated Fall Out Boy record. But that's But you could do a whole podcast episode with me talking about Fall Out Boy, so I don't want to get too off track with that.
I would be
eyes emoji.
I mean,
I've been talking about Fall Out Boy forever. So
honestly,
you want to.
I can talk so much about Fall Out Boy. Oh my god.
Yeah, me too. I'm right there with you. So yeah, Fall Out Boy forever.
Summary: Fall Out Boy forever.
And yeah, and I mean, I listen to, I dabble even in some EDM and stuff but it's usually stuff that uses real instruments like Grizz and Big Gigantic, and I listen to lots of pop like Demi Lovato and Halsey and stuff like that. But then I also come back to bands like All Time Low, who I've loved since I was 15. It depends on the mood and what, and I definitely am always listening to new stuff. I like heavy stuff too. It's not all like, I don't know. I'm very particular with bands. Like I have a hard time talking about music because I listen to so much of it. It's never the same band every day. I think Fall Out Boy is the only constant where it's like I probably listen to them once a week because I love their discography so much that I listen to it pretty much all the time. But everything else, there's an ebb and flow to it. If I see an album turned 10 or even like it's just an album anniversary, I'll often put that entire album on because it's the day that album came out. Like I'll see something on Twitter, it's like, oh, this album came out 12 years ago, and I'll put that whole album on, and I haven't listened to it in a year, but I'm like, this album's fucking awesome. Yeah. So it's like, it depends on, what I see or who I'm with too, the different people around. I'll listen to different stuff. So it depends. I could list a ton of artists off for you, but unless you give me something more specific, I listen to tons of music. So much music.
Okay. Wait. Okay, I'm gonna give you something specific. Okay.
Sure.
What top 3 bands have you listened to today?
Today? Well, I've been listening to a lot of All Time Low because Zach and I do our own version, like I guess it's like a virtual podcast. We do a Twitch stream where we dissect a band's entire discography and then figure out like an ultimate top 10 between the two of us. And we're doing All Time Low tomorrow. So I've been listening to All Time Low all morning. That's why I mentioned them before, because I was listening to them earlier. So yeah, today, All Time Low. I think I was listening to Dua Lipa when I made breakfast.
All right.
Valid.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know. I haven't been awake that long. We're still. I know it's 2, but I wake up at like 11:30 now.
I get that.
I felt that.
I get that.
So I think I've only listened to Dua and All Time Low today. But
yeah, all right. That's fair.
Some taste.
So okay, hold on. Sorry, my computer's freaking out.
No,
we've touched on this a little bit, but let's get more into it. So, what artists would you say are your biggest inspirations?
Yeah, absolutely. So with Sleep On It, there's certain albums that are really inspiring, that are just like our sort of like blueprint for like bands that we love. But there's also artists that are like overarching, like Fall Out Boy. Like I think TJ, Zach, and I are all like so like influenced by their discography, especially their early discography, because it was such a huge part of growing up at that specific time. Like I was, I think 15 when not Take This to Your Grave, but From the Cork Tree came up. So I'm 31. So I think From Under the Cork Tree is like, it became like the album that influenced everything I did after it came out. And I think it's very similar for Zach and TJ, because it was such a landmark album in our scene that like there's a little bit of Fall Out Boy in everything that I try and write, even when I'm not even thinking about it. Yeah. It's like, it's just part of like my musical DNA. It's something I say a lot. Taking Back Sunday is another huge one where it's like their discography is so important in my formative playing years when I started learning how to play guitar, that like elements of their music just sort of slips into your own without even trying. And I'm not saying that like we rip them off or anything like that, but like there's certain cadences and certain chord structures that like lend themselves. You think of, certain songs by these bands, and then you end up using them. They're like, that kind of sounds like TBS, but like it's ours though. It's not, we're not directly like ripping anything off.
Yeah. It's not like a straight copy.
Yeah, no, because because we've done that before. We realize we're ripping a band off. We're like, all right, we gotta fix this song. It sounds way too much like a song we already know.
Yeah.
So we gotta make it ours. Musicians will do that all the time. It happens. You get excited about something because it sounds good, and then you figure out the reason it sounds good is because it sounds exactly like someone else's song.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that.
Oh my god! Like, oh no,
shit.
Oh, dang it. God, not again.
not again. No. Yeah. So TBS, and then I think a huge one for a couple of huge ones for our band are the Dangerous Summer and Yellow Card. I think those two bands really especially when it comes to like me and TJ, I think have a huge influence on the way we play guitar. I think Yellow Card when it comes to like riffs and sort of like choruses, and then when it comes to like lead guitar, I think the Dangerous Summer is extremely influential to our band. I think the way we write lead guitar parts has a lot to do with the Dangerous Summer, and it's cool because we get to call the Dangerous Summer friends of ours because they are, and it's yeah, we even jest at them like, dude, thank you for writing that record. I don't think we would have written our record without your record. So,
Oh my god.
yeah, it's cute, right?
Yeah.
Warpaint and Reach for the Sun by the Dangerous Summer are two absolutely flawless Paul Levitt produced records, and they, I think, have a huge influence on our band, and they always will. Like it's part of like our musical DNA as a band, and we can't we'll never completely go away from it.
All right. Makes sense.
Yeah, I would say Yellow Card, Take It Back Sunday, Fall Out Boy.
Solid.
Those would be like our strongest influences.
Right.
There's a ton of other bands too, obviously, there's sprinkles of all these other bands in there, but I think those four, I think vocally, Go Radio and Mayday on Zach.
Ooh,
Zach is he's cited them before in other interviews. If A Lesson in Romantics didn't exist, I don't know if Zach would be a singer.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a pretty solid one there.
Okay.
Wow.
So we don't have this question written down, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Is there an LP3 in the works?
Hypothetically, yes.
Okay.
But the problem is we haven't been able to see each other as much as we'd like to because of quarantine.
Mm-hmm.
And Zach and I have been writing on our own, but we really need the whole band to do it the way we want to, kind of like what I was saying before. And I think TJ's been dabbling in some stuff, but I think we had been going so hard and so intensely for so long with the band. I think we use quarantine as a point to take a pause and
I get
not
that.
stress ourselves out, because once you start actually saying we're writing for LP3,
Mm-hmm.
that's when the stress begins to build, because I'm sure, I don't know if you guys know this, but we're free agents now. So we are eligible to sign with a new record label, which is a whole nother barrel of fun that we haven't even really got to yet.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where it's once you say we're writing for, you can write a song and it's a song, cool. But once you say you're writing for your new record, that puts that extra pressure on it. And I think that stress is not something we needed to compound upon ourselves with this quarantine happening.
Okay.
I think that's a little bit too much to undertake right now. But we are writing because, Zach and I live together. So we are always talking about music, and we're always playing guitar. So sometimes we have little ideas, and Zach and I have been using quarantine to get a bunch of home recording equipment, basically, so that we can really effectively demo our ideas in our own house. So we don't have to leave the house to get these ideas down. So Zach and I have been working with Logic, which is a recording program. And, we've been buying some different interfaces, and I bought a little MIDI keyboard so that we can tap out drums and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
MIDI drums. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's basically just so you don't have to have a drummer there.
Yeah.
Basically an advanced drum machine is what it is. So yeah, Zach and I have started demoing some ideas. We actually wrote a song the other 2 days ago that I actually really like, but that's the most we have right now as far as new material.
Mm-hmm.
And that song, obviously, when we went into Pride and Disaster, we had 30 ideas.
Yeah.
So the song we wrote yesterday may not even make the next record. But the point is, we are thinking about writing, and we're trying to actively create new songs. So
Yeah.
I guess yes, but also we're not making a concentrated group effort to write a new record
Yeah.
because it's hard to write a record when you don't know when you're going to play a show again. So-
I
yeah,
get that.
you got a point.
Yeah. So you're writing. You're just not going to throw a label on it saying we're writing LP3, pretty much.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think we want to write music, but we don't want to write music with the pressure of it
I get that.
under some sort of umbrella that means that it's going to go on this record or this or that. So,
I get that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
All right. So we're gonna go to your album Overexposed for a second. You have a feature on there with Derek from State Champs. How
Yes, we
did
do.
that happen?
well, as I previously mentioned, he produced the record.
Mm.
And he produced Lost Along the Way, the EP before Overexposed as well. On Lost Along the Way, he said he wanted to do a feature, but when we listened to the five songs, he didn't really fit on any of them. He was like,
Okay.
no, this should be all you guys. I don't think my voice needs to be on this because, honestly, I don't hear a part that should be me.
Mhm.
He's on there like a little bit. Like if you listen really closely on some of the harmonies, I think he did a few of them because he can sing so well because he's a beast. He's such a good singer. And there's like a high harmony on "Let Me Go" that I know is Derek. I'm pretty sure. But yeah, he was like, let's do the full length, when you guys are ready, and I'll do a feature on the full length. And we did, pre-production with Derek, and he was there, I think, on 2 weeks of the record. I think we recorded for 4 or 5 weeks, for Overexposed. And we were recording Fireworks. And the funny thing about Fireworks is that TJ wrote it when he was 19 years old with his old band, Goodnight City Lights. And it never matched the rest of their song, but Zach heard Fireworks and he loved it. And I had always liked it, but it was like not our song. But Zach was like, well, we could just cover it essentially. And TJ's the primary songwriter anyway. So it's not like we're not stealing it, and we're not really even covering it because it's the same songwriter.
Yeah.
And then Derek heard the like bridge part in like the low octave chorus part in Fireworks. He was like, dude, I would love to do that part. And yeah, it was that's basically how it happened. It did take an additional 5 months past when we finished the recording the record to get him on the part because he had already left the studio.
Uh-huh.
By the time because we I don't know how much you guys know about recording, but there is like a weird time point because you have to stay on a schedule. It's like you have to get this half of a song done this day, half of a song, and then maybe switch songs so you don't get burnt out on the same song.
Yeah.
And you have to sort of time it right, or otherwise you're gonna not have enough time to record your whole record. That's why albums go over budget, time is extended, and things go wrong in the studio because you take too long on one song. You dwell on it. You want to change too much, and then you go over budget with your record, which is very bad because record labels don't have as much money as they used to. So Derek had already left when we got to Fireworks. Basically, Derek had said he wanted to do it, but by the time we got to Fireworks on the record, or we got to the vocal part of it at least, I think he had already left to go back to Albany or go on tour or something like that. I'm not sure. So he had to record the part at a different studio.
Wow.
But Derek's vocal for Fireworks was the last thing that got on the album. I think he put we got his vocal and then we mastered it like 5 days later or something like that.
Okay.
So the whole record was like waiting for him to get that on. But we're very grateful he did. Obviously that the song is one of our biggest songs, so it's awesome that he got to be a part of it. And then he flew in for the music video too, which is really cool. So
That's awesome.
Cool. Oh my god, you love to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that song is actually like how I found you guys, and
Yeah.
I've been listening to you guys like ever since that. So that's
Cool.
kind of cool. Yeah. I don't
Yeah,
know. All right.
Yeah, Derek's the man. He's still a friend. He stayed at my house a few times. He's a great dude. So we want to work with him again, but I think with the Pride and Disaster, it was like it didn't everything didn't line up. We were working with 2 different producers on Pride and Disaster, and we were all the way in LA. And I think he was on tour or something, or like he was busy. That was happening. But maybe for the next record or something else in the future, we can work with Derek again.
All right.
Okay.
Love
All
to
right.
see it.
Okay, so I know you guys got to finish most of your 2020 US tour. Can you tell
Mhm.
us anything about like running your first like front tour?
Headliner, yeah.
Headliner, that's the word.
There you go. Yeah.
There you go.
Sorry, I blanked. Yeah.
Front tour.
Front tour. But
Front
you,
tour.
you know what I
I
meant.
fumble
So-
my own words all the time. I can't always articulate things. Yeah. So yeah, it was great. Like, it exceeded our expectations. Like we didn't know what to expect. You know, we had done a co-headliner in the summer with Like Pacific, and that went really well. So we were optimistic, but it was still our name that was, carrying the whole tour. So we're like,
Yeah.
man, I really hope people go. Like, I really hope that we sell tickets to this. And, I think before the tour even started, we had like 4 or 5 sold out shows.
Mm-hmm.
So we're
wow.
really grateful that we had, our fans were that dedicated to pre-sale all those tickets. And, it was, a late winter tour too. We weren't even really in spring yet. So we were like also worried about that, like weather and stuff like that. And we played our first show in Toronto. And that show was a ripper, it wasn't sold out, but I think it was really, really close. And it was really great kickoff to the tour. We I'm sad that we didn't get to play our Chicago dates or the LA date at Chain Reaction, and that was really close to selling out. I think it definitely would have the day of.
Mm-hmm.
But we got to do New York and Boston and Philly. Those were all sold out and absolutely insane shows. Like some of the loudest sing-alongs we've ever seen as a band for every song. That's a feeling you can't understate how cool it is to hear words that you wrote and songs that you wrote screamed back at you with every single person in the audience doing that. There's no cooler feeling than that. So
Did you
I think we just can't wait to get back to it. We were planning a Pride and Disaster Tour Part 2 when we were on tour to happen right now, right? Like in June, July. And, we were going to do B markets and some of the A markets that we missed on the first run. And, Corona obviously canceled all that. So that's a huge bummer we don't get to do it. And we didn't even get to finish the tour in the first place. But it is what it is. It's a global pandemic. There's nothing you can do about it. But yeah, the tour went great. The 10 shows we played were some of my favorite shows we've ever played. Typically the Boston one. I think the Boston one was one of the coolest shows I've ever played. It was insane.
Speaking of like it sold out, I wanted to go to the Jersey show, and then it sold out right before I tried to get tickets. Because like they released more tickets, but I wanted to get my chem tickets as well. And and my coworker was like, "Let's hold off," and then it sold out. And I'm like, "Shit!" So
I think next time we play Jersey, we'll play a bigger venue because that show sold out like a month in advance, 3 weeks in advance. So it's a small room. The Asbury Park Brewery, I think it's like 150 cap. So it's like you don't even need to sell that many tickets for it to sell out. So I think we'll definitely move to a bigger room next time around, whenever that is.
Yeah, whenever that is. All right, cool.
But yeah, thanks for trying to get tickets. I appreciate it.
There was an attempt.
It's the thought that counts.
Yeah, the thought that counts. I will catch you guys though when this is over and you guys come back.
It's
So
gonna be great.
yeah.
When live music can really fully come back, it's gonna be the best month.
Oh hell yeah.
So
Oh my god.
Yeah, the Pride and Disaster Tour was incredible. It was the first time we did VIP too, which was like a really unique thing, a new experience for us. We never knew what to expect there either. We were also really overwhelmed with the response with VIP. I think a lot of people we sold out of our VIP packages in a lot of cities, and that was really inspiring to see too, that people cared enough about our band to have a VIP experience. It's like we tried to make it as cool as possible because I did my due diligence and TJ too. We researched before the tour, before we even announced that we're going to do VIP. What do fans want out of a VIP experience?
Mm-hmm.
What's a reasonable price? Should the ticket be included? What are some of the perks of a VIP experience that make fans feel like they're getting their money's worth and feel like they're close to the band and they can have the experience they want to? So we made sure that before we even offered the packages that we had really thought out what we wanted to do. And I think it was really well I think our fans had a blast. At least all the ones that we talked to were like just really grateful that they got to have that experience and enjoy that time. And yeah, they went super smoothly. I will admit the first day was a little rough because we'd never done one before.
Yeah.
We didn't know how to like control the like 40 kids or whatever that were like inside the venue. We're like, all right, everyone gather around like a kumbaya circle.
Yeah.
Listen to us play guitar on these stools. You know, it's a little weird. It's a little awkward when you've never done that before.
Yeah.
But by like 3 or 4 shows, we got the hang of it. We're like, okay, we can do this. Like, it's all right.
Okay, cool.
We just weren't used to it. You know, you
Yeah.
play some acoustic shows, and acoustic shows are always a little awkward. But when you have to play an acoustic show every day and then play an electric show, you know, a couple hours later, it's like a weird. You have to get into the rhythm of it. It's like a different thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Understandable.
So what would you say was your favorite memory like from that tour?
Boston, because I'm from the East Coast originally. I'm from New Hampshire. I was born in New Hampshire, raised in Maine, however you want to do it. And my parents came to the Boston show. So my mom and dad get to see how the band, like how our fan base has grown, particularly in New England and just in general. And they sat in on the VIP session and stuff. And I think it was just really cool for me to have my parents there because they hadn't seen me play, I think, in 3 years.
Wow.
So it was like a really like full circle moment for me because my parents, bless them, they've been by my side being with my dream of being a musician since I was 13. I picked up a bass at 13. They were like, we support you, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
They've seen me fail a lot, like it's music, I'm in a band that's doing something now, but it wasn't always that way. I got kicked out of a band once. I've had a couple bands fail. It's not always, happy times, so, and despite that, they've supported me through that my entire career, and I think it was very like affirming for them that their support was in the right place, and I think I could finally show them everything I've been working towards for so long. So personally, it was like a huge moment for me. But it was also just a killer fucking show. Like
yeah.
It was sold out. There was like, the room might've been over capacity. There was like 400 kids in there.
Damn.
And they knew every word to all of our songs. It was amazing. It was so cool.
Wow.
Shit.
So yeah, the Boston show blew my mind. Like, and you can ask any member of the band, and they'll say the same thing. It was amazing. We had the best time.
All right.
So.
That's so wholesome.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was good. I liked that.
So continuing right on the train of live shows, do you have any pre-show rituals?
Yeah, I do. So I mean, obviously, I do sing some. I'm not obviously Zach, but we do vocal warm-ups before every show. Generally 40 minutes before we play. It's Melissa Cross. I don't know if people heard her. She's a vocal teacher. She teaches like everybody. She's like one of the foremost in like alternative music because she does vocal coaching for screamers too, not just like singing voices.
Mm-hmm.
So she Every Time I Die and stuff like that. Like she lots of metalcore and metal and stuff like that. So she's fantastic. So we have like her pre-recorded vocal warm-ups on our phone. So we always do that in the van. We kind of like shoot the shit through me, TJ, and Zach. Shoot the shit right before show. Sort of get ourselves loose before. Maybe tell a joke or two.
Mm-hmm.
And we depending on the show, a shot of Jameson is not uncommon.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's kind of a sleep on it tradition for sure. Just to kind of get the jitter out,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. I learned in the early days that you cannot get hammered and play music. It is not good for you or the fans. So, but one shot is fine and actually really nice. So yeah, I try to keep the drink, especially on tour. I try to keep the drinking until after we've played.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a bartender at home, so I'm drinking culture is very much part of me. But my first and foremost responsibility is to put on a good show.
Yeah.
And you can't do that if you're drunk. So while I do enjoy a shot of Jameson before the show, that's probably all I'm gonna have. So that's definitely a tradition by the band. Jameson shots are very common. Stretch it out. We all stretch right before we play. Make sure that we don't pull a damn muscle because we're all getting older. And I don't think we have anything like super kitschy or anything super weird.
All right.
It's just the standard.
Sean Jameson, stretch it out.
All right.
Get each other pumped up, but nothing super superstitious or anything like that.
Okay.
All right. That's fair. So, what would you say your top 3? Oh,
Sorry.
Oh no! Wait. Can you say that again?
I said before every show we burn a pair of gym socks, and then the nations arise like a
Oh my god.
rich thing. But, sorry.
So, what would you say your top 3 songs to perform live are?
Top 3.
Top 3.
I would definitely say "See You Around." The crowd reaction is so good every single time, no matter how we've played it. Not almost every show we've ever played, we've played that song, and it is just a delight every time. People love it. People are so invested in that song, and it's obviously one of our most popular songs, but it never gets old seeing the crowd reaction to that song. So I love seeing people jump up and down and just sing really, really loud. Other crowd reactions. Babe Ruth was really fun on the last tour, seeing people react to that, sing the first chorus, like the first vocals of the song. That was really awesome. I think "Let Me Go" is always really fun live. The song up "Lost on the Way." I love all the songs, so that's a hard question for me. It's like I love playing pretty much all of them. So there's only a few songs I don't like, and that's only just because they're old. Some of the old songs I'm not a huge fan of, but pretty much all of our songs I love playing live because it's not always the same. Depends on the city, honestly.
Yeah.
Certain cities react to different songs.
Yeah.
It's like it depends on who's in that room. Do they know the old stuff? Do they know the new stuff? If you have a group of kids that all went together and they all know the new record, they don't know the old record. Sometimes you'll get a stronger reaction to a brand new song than you'll get to an older song.
Yeah.
I get that.
It really does depend on the city, like the day of the week sometimes.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, lots of variables.
Yeah, well, I always use this example. I've probably said in an interview before, but we played Albuquerque, New Mexico on a Monday night,
Oh.
and it was just chill.
Yeah.
They were in Friday mode.
Yeah.
But that's neither here nor there. But yeah, I think Babe Ruth, "Let Me Go," "See You Around," probably some of my top. I like playing this is just for me because the crowd doesn't know it as well as some of the other songs, but "Overexposed," the title track from "Overexposed," is absolutely one of my favorite songs to play live. It is so fun every time for me.
Solid.
Yeah, solid.
I know. Yeah.
The guitar.
So, what would you say your dream venue, ever, to play in would be?
Great question. I would love that our band could somehow be big enough to play the Chicago Theater. I don't know if that's conceivable because the only rock band that I know that has played the Chicago Theater that's in our scene is Fall Out Boy. So we would have to get that big probably.
Go for it.
But I mean, that would be amazing. It is such a gorgeous venue, and it's the iconic venue in Chicago. I would just that would be a life goal, how do I somehow manage to do that?
Yeah.
Even if we opened, we don't need a headline the Chicago Theater.
Yeah.
In the building would be fine. Playing in the building.
Yeah. We'll just jump on stage in the middle of
Exactly.
someone's set.
On stage, yeah. On the stage.
It's
that
easy.
counts.
It's fine.
It counts. Count it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That one's a huge one for me. I would love to play. Oh my god, some of them I've already played. I played.
Oh, wow.
We played the Troubadour in Los Angeles, which I've always wanted to play. I'm trying to think of some of the bigger ones that I've always wanted to play. Bigger venues. I'm blanking right now. I'm trying to think. I know Chicago venues so well, but there's ones I've heard of that I've always wanted to play that are across the country that I'm blanking on some of their names right now. but yeah, I mean, I would say Chicago Theater would be like my penultimate one.
Okay.
The O2 Arena in London would be
Oh,
amazing.
Okay.
I've heard
Yeah.
so much cool shit about that place, and that it, I mean, obviously it's massive, it's huge, it's like 10,000
Yeah.
people. But if I ever got to play a place like that, that'd be amazing. Because I think a lot of my bucket list venues, at least on the smaller scale, like Chain Reaction when I grew up was like one that I wanted to play so bad, because there was all these live videos from there that I'd watch as a kid on YouTube, and then we got to play it, and it was amazing. So,
Wow.
a lot of the cool ones I've actually gotten to check off the list, which is great.
Oh,
That's
congrats.
awesome. Yeah,
That's crazy.
awesome.
Yeah.
We'll add this one. I would love to play. So, like I said, I'm from New Hampshire in Maine. I'd love to play the State Theater in Portland, Maine, purely for sentimental reasons, I suppose, because that's where I grew up in the music scene.
Uh,
Mhm.
My first music scene was the Portland, Maine music scene. So, my first show I ever went to was at the State Theater in Portland, Maine. So I think that'd be like a very like cool full circle moment for me as a musician. If the first music show I ever saw, and I could play that venue, that'd be cool.
Oh, yeah, that'd be so cool.
Yeah.
Bro, after quarantine.
yeah.
That-
Maybe fucking A, right? Like,
Yeah.
No, do it.
it.
Anything is possible when quarantine's over.
Exactly.
So where do you see the band in the next 5 years?
Touring, I hope.
I'd hope so.
Pandemic willing, like please, can we go back on the road? Because I am going nuts without live music in my life. I next 5 years, I hope we write at least 2 more records. I hope we're
Ooh,
putting
yeah.
out a record every 2 years.
Oh, yeah.
I want to see artistic growth from our band. I know we have it in us, and I want to see, success and gain, normal rides to a bigger fan base. I'd like to start playing bigger rooms and really get out there. I'd like to see us get on a new label, and hopefully that can take us in a different direction. The sky's the limit. I don't know what to expect anymore because we had a plan and then the plan kind of got cut, by Corona. So it's like whenever things do resume, we'll have to approach things differently because our record cycle kind of got interrupted, right? Like, a record cycle will typically last a year and a half to 2 years.
Okay.
By the time Corona is, under control and we're able to tour, Pride and Disaster's record cycle might be over. It might be like on its last legs. Even though people didn't get to see it as much as we would like them to, it will be an older record at that point. It'll be out in a year and a half to 2 years, and people will want something new from us, probably.
Yeah.
So it's going to put us in a weird position. It's like we wouldn't really be touring on our new record anymore because it's not new. So, whether that means we write like an EP or we're doing, a whole new record, it depends on a lot of factors. I don't know what's in the cards right now. Like I said, the music industry is kind of on pause. No one's making any moves right now.
Yeah.
Unless you're a major artist, like major label artist. And, we're trying to do the best we can to, stay in the forefront, and be active. We're doing the Twitch streams and the stay-at-home single, and we actually recorded some other stuff that may come out in the near future. But I'm not going to talk about that because I can't.
Ah.
Damn.
Dang. Ouch.
It exists, though. It's there.
Okay. All right.
It does exist. Kind of like Bigfoot.
Oh my god.
Oh my God.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Whew.
So yeah, I'm to be honest, I don't know, but I hope we get to make at least 2 more records in the next 5 years, and I hope we get to tour a lot. I want our band truly loves playing in front of our fans and being close to our fans, and that's all I want to do. And I just want to keep growing as a band, and take over the world. Like why not? Like
Why not?
Oh, yeah.
Let's do it as big as we can. Time is limited. I won't be this young forever. So let's go. Let's absolutely go, as Zach Booster would say.
Hell yeah.
Wow. All right.
I respect it.
Sick. All right. So, for the last couple questions, we're actually going to switch away from music and go straight to Death Row.
Boom.
So thank you, Shane.
Yeah.
So if you're on death row, what would your last meal be with a drink?
That's a great question.
Thank you. Thank you.
I would have a very tall glass of Jameson 18 year, probably.
All right.
It's a
All
very
right.
expensive bottle of Irish whiskey. I think it retails for $150 a bottle.
Holy
Jesus
shit.
Christ.
Yeah, it's not cheap. It
All right.
is quite good, though.
All right. All right.
I've only had it once because it's so damn expensive. But if I was gonna
Mhm.
die, like
Yeah,
Give me the
why
whole
not?
bottle.
I would get that one. Yeah, drink the bottle. And for food, man, that is a hard question because we didn't even touch on this, but me and Zach do a cooking show with.
Oh.
Yeah.
That is so
Oh my God.
cool.
Every Saturday we do a cooking show. It's called
Bro.
Cooking from J to Z. It's on Twitch. It's on our Sleep On It Twitch channel. And my mom is a chef, and so is my sister. So food is like a very big thing for me. I think I would probably have something like chicken parmesan or something, probably.
Ooh, yeah.
You know, like a southern mac and cheese or something like that. Like something extremely rich and like terrible for you.
Yeah.
That I love, that I can't eat all the time. You know,
Yeah.
like I love mac and cheese, but I can't eat it every day. Like you cannot. It's so bad for you. Yeah, something really rich and delicious like that. You know, probably like a really nice seafood sushi dinner or something like that. I'd probably have super nice sushi because that's like my favorite treat myself meal is like spending $90 on sushi. That's rare too. I don't do that all the time.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
I'm a musician. I don't have any money.
I get that. Me too.
You know, like when my tax return hits, you know, it's sushi time. You know.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
sushi time. Yeah. I get it.
Yeah, so that would be my answer. Probably a very large glass of 18-year Jameson, and you know, maybe some really nice sushi or chicken parmesan.
Solid.
Yeah. So, okay. So if you could live in one fictional world for a week, where would you live?
Oh my God. This is hard. Because fictional worlds are my whole life. I love fictional worlds.
I get that.
I'm such a nerd. Oh man, I love all the fantasy sci-fi stuff. So this is a very loaded question for me. It's like, do I pick Jurassic Park because the existence of dinosaurs are still possible, or do I go straight to Harry Potter? I don't know.
Bro,
Or
Harry Potter.
Actually, Lord of the Rings is a bad choice because that's a very terrible world to live in.
Yeah.
It is. I keep telling people that.
You don't want to live in Middle Earth. It's a bad time.
Exactly. Like, there's no. Everybody dies.
Yeah,
So it's like-
Yeah, it's not good.
maybe if you're an elf and you live in just
Yeah, I was like, maybe for an elf.
that's it.
But aren't they
Yeah.
constantly, like, in war?
No.
Yeah, yeah. All of Jared Tolkien's stories are about war.
Yeah.
Well, yes.
Exactly.
But if you're like an
War
elf
and
you just
death
stay-
and really big orcs that like to kill people.
Yeah.
Yeah, so not Middle Earth, although that of course it popped into my brain.
Mhm.
I mean, I would probably pick, you know, Harry Potter, probably like
All right.
that universe.
Okay.
Just because.
Please
the
tell us
existence-
your house.
I am a Hufflepuff.
Hufflepuff gang, let's go. Let's go. Round of applause.
Can't really.
God.
Can't
Okay.
really-
Okay, Ravenclaw. Whatever.
No, I'm not even a Ravenclaw.
Oh. Okay.
L.
Gryffindor?
No. Do
You
I
are not
seem
a
like
Slytherin.
a Gryffindor to you? Yeah.
You don't seem like a Slytherin.
Well, that's what the quiz told me. I don't know what to tell you.
Wow.
It
Quiz
told
is
me it either tells me Ravenclaw or Slytherin, but mostly Slytherin. So, anyways,
None of the Slytherins are evil. It's fine. It's fine.
yes,
That's true.
exactly.
That's true.
I'm a great person. I can assure you guys. I'm so amazing. Wow.
Shut up, Rayanne.
And Monty.
I haven't committed any crimes. I swear.
Do you solemnly swear?
Well, I don't know about that.
So I have the honor of asking the last question, and almost everyone we speak to says the most important question.
Literally everybody.
What is your favorite color? Thank you.
Thank you! Yay! Somebody's laughing. Good. Thank you.
I think I'm a blue person. I just love the color blue. All the shades, honestly, I like. It's just such a pleasing color to me. It always has been. Yeah, I'll say blue is my final answer probably.
Okay.
Like a not like a true navy blue or anything, like a lighter shade of blue.
Wait.
Alright.
What's your favorite color combination?
That's different. I think my favorite color combination is black and red. I always.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Thank
I've
you.
always
Yeah.
liked black and red. Anything black and red.
all right.
Yeah, definitely my favorite color combo. But
Mhm.
I think blue is an overall.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as I said, that's all the questions we have for you today. Is there anything you would like to plug?
Plug.
Plug.
Yeah, I mean, we got the new Stay at Home video and song. You can find it on our YouTube channel. It's on Spotify, Apple Music, all that stuff. We do our most recent single that's not a joke quarantine song is called Falling Further Faster, which we put out in February, which is a really great song that we recorded for Pride and Disaster, but it didn't fit on the record just right when we listened to it together.
Mhm.
So we left it off, and then we're like, what are we going to do with this song? And then we were about to go on the Pride and Disaster tour. Like, this would be perfect to put out right before the tour. So I think that song is really great. Really proud of that song. It's great. So yeah, listen to Falling Further Faster, Stay at Home, watch Zach and I do dumb things on Twitch. We do the cooking show on Saturdays. We do we pick a band and pick apart their discography every Tuesday. Twitch, Sleep On It Music. You can follow me on Twitter at Jake's on the Plane. And I'm an open book, so you can ask me stuff online if you're listening to this or whatever. If you have a question for me, feel free to tweet it at me. I don't check it every second of every day, but I answer most questions if people have one. And yeah, Black Lives Matter. That's the other one.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't want to get too deep into that stuff because I have obviously a lot of opinions about that. But don't get complacent. People are already starting to slow down with that stuff, and I think it's important to keep it in the forefront of everyone's minds and pay attention to what's going on around the country, and don't let it become don't let it turn into just another hashtag.
Yeah.
It's bigger than that, and it's always been bigger than that, and our country's finally waking up to it. And I think we need to kind of keep that momentum going, because real change is happening. Things are happening that I didn't think would happen, or I think should have happened, but was never sure the right people would make it happen. So we're seeing the results, but we got to keep going. So I don't fully understand what it means, but I also want to be an ally, and I want to be using my platform as best I can to further that movement, because it's important. It really is. It is so important. Black Lives Matter, Black Trans Lives Matter. There's been a lot of discussion about transgender because we're in the Pride Month, so it's like that matters a great amount too. But I just think keep aware of the social issues. Don't become complacent. Don't become bored with it, because it's easy to be oversensitized with something and then try to forget like it didn't happen or ignore it. But don't let patio season get in the way of you being on the right side of history. That's what I'm saying. That's my final tip.
There we go.
Solid.
So thank you for sitting down with us, Jake. This has been Jake from Sleep On It, and we're the Good Noise Podcast.